Hey guys, and welcome. We are back and we are live. Of course, there's no games to report on just yet. The season is coming quickly now. Off season is over and spring is here, and we'll be taking you through all the way up until the first games of the season, where again we'll be broadcasting live all the games that are happening, and you won't miss a minute of the games and a minute of the season. But as you can see, we are back in visual form. Hello if you're watching on YouTube, and hello if you're listening on the PTBNL podcast. Yes, I've been practicing. As ever, it is me, Dave Shaw. If you're new to the show, welcome. This is a fans show. By the fans, for the fans. Guys, get involved in the comments. I can always see comments coming in. Get involved. We'll read your comments out. Get involved with anything you hear in the show that you want to come in with a little comment. Come in with your own opinion. By sure means, let us know. We'll get it read out. There's a lot of things on social media we're going to get read out for you as well that you've been getting involved in. But yeah, we'll be running this show tonight, and then a prediction show and a couple more build-up shows throughout spring training until the main event, the season starting on April the 1st, of course. So it is me, Dave Shaw, at UK Phillies. I am joined by George Martin at UK Astro Fans UK. George, how are you, mate?
Very good, thanks. Astros fans UK, very good. Very good, thanks. Had a good off season, and the same goes for everyone who's watching this as well. It's been a long one. Same goes for everyone who's watching this as well. It's been a long one, I think.
Amen. And we've got Jack Brown from NY Yankees UK. How are you doing, Jack?
Yes, Dave. Not bad. Yeah, not bad. Nice to be back chatting baseball with you guys, and Super Bowl's over, you guys, and one thing. Super Bowl's over, that's around the corner, guys.
Absolutely. And of course, Nick Wright from the LA Angels UK. Nick, how are you?
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Dave. Very good to be back with the boys, and looking forward to chatting some baseball with you. Looking forward to the new year. Chatting some baseball
Absolutely.
with you.
Let's get into it. So, big hey to Lucy Chapman, Pete Pratt, Charles Baldwin, and Johnny, who are already in the comments watching. So great to have you all along. Let's get into it. Spring training is finally upon us. Catchers and pitchers report this week. Guys, how are you feeling? Are we excited? Spring training, I know a few of us here are like, oh, yeah, but it's not the main thing, is it? But George, how are you feeling going into spring?
Yeah, I think we just want to see baseball back. It's like I was saying a moment ago, it's been a very difficult winter away from baseball for everyone. So I think we would love to see a bit of bat on ball, a bit of leather on the glove, and it's just I think even though it's not the real thing, it's just a reminder that baseball, the real deal, is only around the corner. And I personally normally find it a bit hard to get into spring training, but I think it might be a little bit different this year. I think we're all eager to see how everyone gets on.
Absolutely. And Jack, for you as a Yankees fan, of course, we're only going to be playing like 4 teams. That's it. Literally exclusive to 4 teams each. Jack, the Phillies and Yankees have got plenty of time to see each other this spring. But what are you looking for in terms of the Yankees for the spring up ahead?
It's a bit of, it's a bit unknown. It's not your normal spring training that we're used to. It's a bit unknown. It's not your normal spring training that we're used to. As George says, it's been a long, hard winter for a lot of people. As George says, it's been a long, whatever reasons they are, winter for a lot of people. It's just nice. It's a bit for whatever reasons they are. I just can't wait to put the TV on. It's just nice. It's have a bit of normal sound. I just can't wait to put the TV on. Hopefully, have a bit of depending on baseball ground restrictions over in the States. Depending on it's just sort of restrictions. Enjoying it again. I think we've this sort of off season has made us realise how much we just need to enjoy the game and not worry too much about cheating scandals, sort of World Series losses, it's just enjoying the game. That's for me. That's the main thing.
Absolutely. I believe there's a bit of let echo. Hopefully that echo has just been sorted out now. I've just realised they've left a setting on, which hopefully is now fixed. Nick, your thoughts on spring training? Angels, good off season. Looking forward to having baseball back on your telly.
Yeah, I just want to touch on, well done, Jack. I don't know who had 3 minutes for the first reference to the Astros cheating, but nice to get it in there early and we don't forget. Spring training, it's one of those things, I think as George said, you look forward to it, don't you? It's the first real sign baseball's back. After about a week, you're fed up with it and you just want to get to the actual main event. But, you look forward to that first Mike Trout at bat in the spring, that first Anthony Rendon at bat, when Shohei takes the mound, hopefully. Those sort of things, they build momentum the year and get you excited. So looking forward to it. And I'm sure we'll talk about our off season later, but cautiously optimistic. The floor's been raised and that's the bare minimum.
Absolutely. Of course, they're hoping to have fans in, 2,500 fans at each game maximum. And of course, the first games are the 28th of February. George, what do you make of this? Just playing each other or playing exclusively 4 teams each time. It's going to be a funny feel to spring, isn't it?
Yeah, I think there will be, I guess, an element of the players trying to keep themselves interested during it. I think they'll be just more trying not to get injured, especially after the way last season with the way you had the spring training, then it was shut down, and then they had the second spring training and the quick ramp up for a season and tons of injuries, particularly amongst the pitchers. So I think I honestly think they're just going to be not going through the motions, but I think they're going to be just trying to really sort of take it easy getting into the season, make sure that everyone's bodies are ready to go, and that there's nothing catastrophic for the players before the season. I think it's just a case of they want to reach that opening day and get through it. It will be a bit, I guess, a bit of a shame that they're going to be facing such limited variety of opposition, but I mean, the situation dictates and needs must.
Absolutely. And Jack, fans back in the stands, 2,500. I believe there could be a lot more come April the 1st. That's better, isn't it? As long as they can do it safely, as long as all precautions are taken, it's going to be nice to hear some fans in the stands again, because it makes a hell of a difference.
Yeah, it does. It's one thing about live sports you take for granted, the live sort of audience, the live fans, especially with like you've got the football over here, and it's totally different. It's not the same game. It's the atmosphere of a baseball game is totally different to anything else. I think in sport, there's a lot of it's just great to have people back, fans. 'Cause that's what it's about. Sport wouldn't be anything if it wasn't for fans. And yeah, it's just nice to get those fans back in the stands, as I say, safely. As long as we can do it safely, that's the main thing, mate.
Absolutely. Pete Ramsey says it might be spring baseball, but I'm glad it's back. And I think everyone's the same. It's been a long off season, especially with everything that's been happening. It's nice to have that baseball distraction back. And of course, the rules. We thought they were gone last year. The wacky, I don't know, gimmicks, as some called it, but the 7-inning doubleheaders return, and the man on second base in the 10th inning returns. Nick, I know you've got a bit to say on this. Feelings on that those 2 rules have come back, and no universal DH, of course?
I think my opinions now exclusively mirror those of Joe Maddon's, so I can't say it anywhere near as eloquently or as passionately as Joe could. So if you want to listen to Halfway Around the Halo, our interview with Joe Maddon, you can. It's still available on all your major podcast platforms. But in all seriousness, I mean, I think seven-inning doubleheaders, actually, particularly in the sort of season we had last year and the season we're going to have this year, good idea, objectively. I mean, if there's a way to minimise the risks to players and give them extra days off or wherever else it's managed, I think that's probably a good thing. I don't like the runner on second. I never have and I never will. Although I did take Maddon's point that perhaps you could introduce it a bit later into extras. So don't start with it. Don't go into the 10th with it on, but say you're not seeing any progress, maybe 11th, 12th, 13th, and maybe you can look to introduce it progressively. But I mean, I think ultimately MLB probably had to make these calls. I'm not surprised they've done it, particularly because they don't know what this year is going to look like again. So I just wanted to touch, by the way, on Jack's point about the fans. I think it's great. And I think one example was the cricket. I don't know if anyone's been watching the cricket in India. Just having those fans in the stands and cheering boundaries, and it just makes such a difference to the atmosphere of the sport, just watching it on TV.
Agreed.
So if they can do it safely, it's great.
Agreed. Even the tennis, the Australian Open, with the fans in the Australian Open, it makes so much difference to the spectacle you're watching. George, I know you've got a lot to say on these rules. So in PG terms as possible, George, especially the runner on second base, I know you're a big fan of that.
I just think that rule is a disgrace. I don't like it, and I use that word because it's just fake baseball. It's artificial, and it creates something which didn't exist. I mean, you can have a situation where whoever the road team is fails to score in the top half of the inning, whatever happens, and then you could have a stolen base from this artificial runner at second, and then and then a wild pitch, and the game's over. I just think it cheapens the spectacle for the players, particularly if you had a great ball game. There was one game we had last season. I mean, I'm not just saying this because the Astros were dreadful when we had these extra inning ball games, but it certainly doesn't help it. But there was one game, I think it might have been against the Rockies. It was a really tight, great ball game, and I think we won it in extra innings on that. And it just didn't feel right. It just felt like what am I watching? I'm watching some cartoon baseball, and I just really think it is. I don't know who it's aimed at, because if you're aiming it at people who aren't baseball fans, then they're kind of missing the point. I understand the 7-inning doubleheaders. It's not something I like, but at least that's real baseball. You've got an actual game that's playing. It's just shorter. You can say, oh well, maybe there would have been a comeback in the 8th and 9th innings, so the result would have been different. But that's at least more acceptable than someone who doesn't exist just suddenly appearing on second and winning the game. It just doesn't sit right for me. And I understand that particular times call for certain measures, but I think that's one too far for me. I'm surprised that they haven't kept the universal DH for this season. I don't know. I guess with the collective bargaining agreement coming up for the end of the year, I'm sure that the universal DH will be part of that discussion for sure. But so gone for the time being. I presume that I haven't checked, but I presume they're still doing the rule with the 3-hitter minimum for pitchers for relievers coming in. Yeah, bizarrely, I actually was in a very small minority with that. I didn't mind it so much. I actually quite liked it in the sense that it reduced some of these games where particularly teams like the Rays would be sort of changing a pitcher after every at bat. And it helped the game flow a bit more. I know that is something which is roundly not viewed that way by the managers who absolutely loathed it. But it's just from a viewing perspective, I didn't mind that one. But yeah, certainly that artificial run on second, not for me.
Jack, Pete Pratt just said it's designed to end games quicker, and it worked. Jack, I kind of agree, but I'm sort of with Nick as well. I think it should have been introduced possibly the 12th, 13th inning. Let's get at least 2-3 more innings of extra innings baseball out there and then finish it. Jack, where were you on that one?
I'm with George. I absolutely hated it. You spend the whole game specifically not or designed as a pitcher to not let a runner get on second, because that's a very big thing. It's not easy to get runners on second base. It's not as if it's just a walk and you end up on. It's very, very hard to do, and that's what pitchers are trying not to do. So you spend all 9 innings to not do that, and all of a sudden, boom, 10th inning, oh yeah, runner on seconds. As it's artificial. It just doesn't feel right. Again, with COVID times, I can kind of see it, the benefit of it, but as long as it doesn't go anywhere near postseason baseball, could you imagine losing a Game 7 in a World Series?
I don't think the rules do apply to postseason, though.
I can't imagine that. Sorry.
It didn't last year, yeah.
That's good, but as long as it doesn't, because you know what they're going to go, it's working well in the season, then all of a sudden it goes into the postseason, and then that's when it's just going to go absolutely crazy and will be rubbish. But the 7-inning doubleheaders, I like the second game being the 7-inning one. I think the first game should be 9 innings. Then the second game of a doubleheader then should go into 7. That's just me being picky. I want as much baseball as I can get, really. But no, the runner on second, I'm with George. It's absolute trash.
Right. Well, I loved it. But no, look, but only because the Phillies were literally on the winning end of all the extra inning man on second. But no, I get it. They want to make it more appealing and more exciting, end the games quicker, especially in a 60-game season. You don't want players playing out there for hours and hours and then playing again and again and again in such a short season, especially with a season with a lot of double headers. I would kind of like it in the 13th inning. Bring it in then. I like the 7-inning double headers. It means for the East Coast teams, we usually can get 2 games in a night now. So that's pretty good if one starts at 6, the other one at 9. I was in favour of that. We've got Pete Ramsey saying get rid of Manfredi, needs to be sacked. MS says universal DH sucks. I sort of warmed to it, even as an NL fan. You guys are all AL, aren't they? You guys are all used to it, but I did warm to it. Charles Baldwin says, from an entertainment standpoint, it did cost us some early morning extra innings games in the UK. Pete Pratt has come back. I thought he would. I was waiting for it. Because they designed to end games quicker, don't want that in the postseason. Yeah, we can go. I think we can go on that for a long, long time. But let's move on swiftly. And today, in fact, just a couple of hours ago, USA Today released their predictions and projections. And what we'll do is we'll go through these and sort of go through the divisions and how they're stacking up at the moment. So when it wants to play ball, there it is on your screens. There are your predictions from the USA Today newspaper. We can go division by division, and after this, what I'll do is a lot of you have been on social media getting involved with this as well. So we'll go through this, and then I'll go through all your social media comments as well. But we'll start with the AL East, which is the top there. So it's got Yankees 94, 68, Tampa Bay with 88, Toronto 87, Boston 80, Orioles with a whopping 60. But Jack, your team, of course, Yankees in the AL East. That's going to be a really interesting division this year.
It's as you say, it's going to be interesting. You got the Rays from last year World Series. I think they've got it pretty accurate on that. I'd go with that. I'd maybe put Toronto, maybe swapping with Tampa, but the only team that's really improved is Toronto in that division. The Yankees have sort of stuck where they were last year. The Rays have in my opinion, gone down a notch or two. The Blue Jays have gone out and they've got their men, they've got their who they want, and they're really trying for it. So I would put the Blue Jays above the Rays. I think the Yankees will still win it over 100, however many, 162, whether it's 162 or 150 odd games. Yeah, I think Boston winning. How many did they win? Sorry, it was 80.
They've got 80.
That's a bit optimistic, I think, for them. And Baltimore, well, 60 games. I predicted them to win single figures last year in the shortened season. That didn't quite happen, but yeah, I think that division is it's pretty good the way they've put that down on paper. I think there can't be too many arguments there.
Yeah, George, of course, Springer, former Astro, has gone to the Jays. The Jays have spent, I think, the most amount of money of anybody this off-season. I can already see people saying, Johnny Wally says Red Sox is right. Pete Ramsey says Red Sox will not win 80 games with our pitching. The Jays have improved. The Red Sox have improved, but I pretty much agree. The Rays still have got a really, really good team and a front office which knows what it's doing. I think for me that AL East is actually pretty spot on.
Yeah, I think it looks pretty accurate. I think my one question would be, where's the Blue Jays pitching? Like, they've got all these hitters. Are they going to be able to last the distance over 162 with the pitching? I don't know. I mean, I think that they brought in George Springer, who, having watched the guy day in, day out for years, they've got an absolute phenomenal player on their hands. He will never give up. Tried from first pitch to last. It's sometimes too hard. He's an incredible player to watch, and he'll give a massive amount of in the clubhouse as well for them. He'll be a huge boost. But I just think when it comes down to it, the nitty gritty, have they got the pitching that will see them sort of return to October and potentially even do damage there? I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so. I think the Rays would still, in my mind, still be ahead of them. I think there's a big hurdle, maybe mentally or otherwise, for the Blue Jays to kind of get over before they can start thinking about going further. They're a young team. They've got their window is just opening right now, so that's not meant as a slight towards them. They've got a big future ahead of them, but I don't think their time is now. And I think that the team to beat will definitely be the Yankees in the division, despite the fact the Rays went all the way to the World Series last year. And with the Yankees, it's always about, can they stay healthy? Can they get the players to perform consistently? You have to imagine that with the talent they've got, that they will be in the running again when it comes to October. But who knows? It's a tight division, and I think as a neutral, I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yep. Nick, anything to add to that one?
I think you've covered it. I think I agree with you. I'm excited to see Toronto. Really excited, actually. I mean, that young offense, adding Springer, and it has the potential, doesn't it, to explode. And I think their projections are probably the hardest to say. I think you said 87 wins there, did you, Dave?
For Jays, yeah. One behind the Rays, I mean,
yeah. They could easily be in the mid-90s if everything clicks. But at the same time, as George mentioned, if the pitching isn't there, they could probably be around 500. So I think they've probably got the most boom or bust, but definitely the most potential there, other than the Yankees.
They've got Jays. As that would go, it would be Jays versus the Rays wild card with Minnesota on a similar record. So that'd be interesting. Pete Pratt asks, where are the Jays playing? Good point, because their AAA ground in Buffalo, of course, will be used this year. So I've got a feeling that they'll be back in Toronto. Does anyone know for sure?
Not sure. That is a big factor, though. I mean, if they could get get their games back in Toronto, that'd be huge for them. But I'm not sure. I have to be honest.
I thought I saw something about Florida, but I could be completely off there.
Oh, man. AL Central, they've got White Sox 89, Twins 87, Cleveland 82, Kansas 72, Detroit back there on 61. Nick, the White Sox fans are pretty confident there. In fact, some of them are already putting their names on the pennant. They think they've got this division.
One of them, including our good friend at White Sox UK, Nathan, who sent us a number of thoughts ahead of today. I mean, you can't really look past the White Sox this year. I think they had a good year last year. They've continued to add. They've got another year more experience of their young talent, and the rest of the division sort of standing still a bit. The Twins will be there or thereabouts. The Indians selling off Lindor, selling off Carrasco, and if you listen to Indians UK, obviously it's very negative at the moment, and understandably so, with a payroll that's going to be so low for a club that has been competing for quite a while. It's got to be frustrating, but you never know with them. There is still talent there, and I think it's probably going to be a three-way thing again at the top. Although you would like to think the White Sox are probably going to be the best of them. Yeah,
you sort of feel that the Indians are probably heading towards a bit of a rebuild in the next coming years. Jack, I found we both backed the White Sox last year in our prediction show last year, which will be coming very shortly again, so we won't predict too much, but I fancy those White Sox again. But Kansas have been quietly rebuilding as well. I think they may get a little bit closer to Cleveland. So, how about you?
Yeah, I quite like what they've done. They've just got Benintendi from the Red Sox, who is, as a Yankees fan, he can play. If he's on form, he is a very, very good player. They've got a few prospects coming up as well to sort of throw into the mix as well. I agree with you. I like Kansas. Chicago is the favourite for me, with Minnesota won't be too far behind. And as you said, Dave, Cleveland look like they're going into a rebuild, which we don't know how long that's going to take. That's going to be a long rebuild,
especially
I feel,
in
for
these
them.
times as well.
Yeah, exactly. They're not willing to throw any money at the team at all, which is a shame, really, because they had the makings of a really good team a good few seasons ago now. So, but yeah, no, the Chicago are my pick for that one, I think.
Yeah. Charles Barwin says Kansas is low. They've made some good moves. Yeah, I agree. I think they are probably low. Johnny Worley says poor division outside the White Sox. It usually is. George, AL West, Astros, they've got them on top. 89 wins. Oakland 86. The Angels 82. Seattle 72. And the Rangers 69. George, they've got you back on top, but I get a feeling from the Astros that they're nearing the end of their twilight.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky because the kind of core of that team that's been so good for us for so long is definitely getting to that point. Obviously, spring is gone. Question marks about Altuve after last season, but I personally don't think there'll be question marks after the season. Judging with how he was in the postseason, looked like he finally got his mojo back, was able to start connecting with the ball again, and with some power as well. I think that the thing now is working out how we avoid going into avoid going to one of those periods where you kind of on the downslide. I think it's now about trying to bring through the young players. We've got the rookie pitchers who we had numerous rookie pitchers from last season. It'd be interesting to see how they go over 162 games, because it's a totally different kettle of fish looking at a full season compared to what it was last year. They acquitted themselves brilliantly, but again, lots of question marks there. I think that's pretty accurate. I mean, I might be slightly over optimistic and go for say 91 or 92 games, but I think the big thing for us is that the Oakland A's have definitely regressed. They lost Hendricks, they lost Semien. I think they lost La Stella as well. Is that right, Nick? They didn't manage to keep La Stella, so that's
no, he's gone.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So that Giants. For them, I think they missed an opportunity to try and put real pressure on us there. Whilst the Angels obviously are looking to continue rising and was to start rising and put pressure on us from their side. I think that I would be surprised if the Angels pushed us in the divisional race this year. I think we're slightly fortunate the A's didn't strengthen, but we James Click, who's our new GM after Luno's firing, was his kind of MO is is in keeping with what we'd expected from his time with the Rays. He's looking to do sort of cheap deals, clever deals, get players for not sort of back-breaking financial amounts and not trying to deplete what's already a depleted farm. It was very good a few years back, but it's now, not quite threadbare, but it's a lot emptier than it was. I think we'll win this division, and I think we'll see a good season from the Astros.
Nick, Johnny says, Nick, is pitching good enough to get to this number of 82? Nick, is that a little bit high for the Angels, or is it about right?
I wouldn't say that's too high. I think pitching's definitely good enough to get to 82, but obviously 82 is not the aspiration for us. We're looking at more 87, 88 and trying to get that final wildcard spot, which I think is possible. So everyone knows we've had an off season where we've got a new GM in, so it's a bit of a change up. Everyone's talked about pitching. Last year, the big target was Garrett Cole, who obviously went off to the Yankees on that record contract. We then switched tacks and took the best hitter available, which is Rendon, which is fine, but the pitching problems still remain. What Manassian's done when he's come in this year, I think, is he's just tried to raise the floor of everything, raise the floor of the rotation. Last year, Canning, Heaney and Bundy were actually pretty good, pretty solid in the rotation. The problem is the starts beyond them, actually Barria, Sandoval, and the guys that were just coming in after that, they inflated the ERA massively. So it was very split down the middle. So what he's done, he's brought in Quintana, who is very solid, even if he pitches slightly below his career norms, going to be a good signing. Alex Cobb, not the most inspiring, but again, raises the floor of the rotation. Hopefully he can put the innings in. And again, even if he's throwing like 4.5, 5 ERA ball, it is better than what we had before. And then Shohei's the wild card in the rotation. So you've got it on that side. And then you have to look at it from the other side. We don't need them to be great. Maybe you do in the postseason, right? That's a different argument. You probably need great pitching in the postseason. We're not trying to, well, we are. We're trying to win the World Series. But at this point, we want to get to the postseason, and you don't need that great pitching. You just need it across the board and the consistency. And I think we have it. And so I'm confident with the hitting we have. Obviously, everyone knows who we have in the lineup and where the power's coming from. We will score runs. And he has also strengthened the bullpen, which was another weakness last year. We blew a lot of games early in the season. He's brought in a closer. He's brought in Iglesias from the Reds on a pretty cheap deal, actually. He's brought in a couple, Alex Claudio. And so I'm quietly confident. I don't think I would quite discount the A's like George did. The A's, regardless of who they lose, always seem to be there and thereabouts. They still have a lot of talent in the lineup. And I would say they probably have the most potential in their rotation as well. When you look at Minaya, Luzardo, Montas, I mean, there's talent there. So I would probably agree with George's assessment. I think the Astros will probably win the division. I don't think the A's will be that far behind, and I don't think we'll be that far behind, all going well. I'd like to hope we can push for that second wildcard spot.
Yeah, well said. Pretty much answered Johnny's questions and Charles' questions without even seeing them. So you were literally answering them as they came through, unless you can see them. Mike Ivory says big pickup by the A's getting Petit back, which I think was today actually. Charles agrees, as a Giants fan they wish they'd never let him go. But yeah, nice pickup for the A's. Helps the bullpen. Johnny says the A's are always tenacious. And Seb thinks that AL Central will be the other way around with the Twins that will pip the White Sox, who have more depth. On to the NL East. Braves 93, Mets 86, Washington 85. Phillies 83, Marlins 75. Yeah.
Do you want to take this one, Dave?
I'll take this one. Excuse me for a minute. Braves, yeah. Mets, possibly. I think it's actually quite reasonable. I'd have us above the Nationals. The Marlins are going to be nowhere in a full season. Sorry, Pete, but you're not. They've done nothing. They've picked up nobody. It's a young team. I just don't think in the full distance they're going to be able to go. We've improved, not hard, having the worst ever bullpen in the MLB history last year. A lot of, I've described the pitching acquisitions as someone put in the comments earlier on, all filler, no killer, but should do a much better job. Our offense was fine last season, plus JT and Didi coming back, along with Brad Miller, good acquisition, and some good low risk, high upside arms. 83. I'll push two more on that. I'm going to go 80. I'd go 85, challenging for a wild card. The Nats.
No way.
All right, George. Nationals, no, too high. Swap them with us. Mets and Braves are going to win this, I agree. I think this is going to be the toughest division in baseball. It's an absolute four-headed beast with the Marlins as the whipping boys. Braves, 93, yeah, I'd go with that. George?
I don't know. I think 85 might be pushing it. I mean, when was the last time you guys had a season over 500?
2011.
So it's. I mean, I think genuinely, that is the first goal for you guys is to get that monkey off the back and sort of look from there. 85. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I hope for your sake and your sanity that it
will take a lot of things to go our way. We need the bullpen to really we need those low risk arms to really come good for us. And if they come in and go flat like last year's bullpen, then no, we won't be anywhere near it. But 83, I think, it's quite realistic, but I think we'll be third. I just hope we are pushing for that wild card. And you don't know, the fans in the stands this time, Citizens Bank Park is an absolute rocking place when the Phillies are on a run.
I'm looking at Nick.
I would just like to downgrade this four-headed beast to a three-headed beast. It's more like Fluffy. Like Fluffy, Harry Potter, this one. There's no way the Phillies are as good as the other three there.
Well, you're putting Mets in that, in that bracket?
100%. That rotation blows you out the water.
No. It's too early for bets. But on the prediction show, I'll be coming at you. Pete Ramsey says it's the most exciting division. Do you think the Mets have improved enough to get 86? I know they've got, is it Carrasco and Lindor, but do we, it's the Mets. Do we really think 86 win? I would, in the words of Kevin Keegan, I would love it if we beat the Mets this year and finished ahead of them. But Pete Pratt looks like a one-headed beast. I don't know. I think it's going to be a lot closer.
That's fair.
Oh, well, Pete, if you want to let us know your Marlins feelings, I'll be very intrigued. NL Central. This is another interesting one. Of course, the Cards with that Arenado and Goldschmidt from the same team. Like, that offense is fire. They got 90 wins. Brewers 83, Chicago 82, Reds 79, Pittsburgh 57, which is the lowest. George, Cardinals. I can't see past the Cardinals.
Yeah, I don't think
there's any top two for sure.
Yeah, I don't think there's any looking past the Cardinals in the NL Central. Great pickups for them. I think that for them, they'll be just looking to get into October and actually start trying to do damage there rather than thinking about. And obviously, they don't want to get ahead of themselves too much, but I think they'll be looking to do damage beyond the regular season. I think it's that cut and dried, to be honest.
Jack, I think that's pretty accurate. That Central, the Cubs are definitely heading into a revamp as well, aren't they? The Reds have been offloading money like nothing. I think behind the Cards and Brewers, I think it's going to be pretty weak, really.
Yeah, it's not my favourite division to sort of have a competitive division wise. I think St. Louis have really shown intent with the Arenado trade that they are, as Josh said, they're not mucking around with the sort of regular season baseball anymore. They want to do damage in the postseason, and the others seem to just be trying to sort of not try and even win at all. From what I can see, it's not. I can't lie. I'm not too well versed on that division, but from what I can see, none of them really want to win except for the Cardinals.
Yeah, they seem to all Pirates have just been like, they won't be contending for years by the look of it. And the Reds, you're right, the Reds are offloading a whole load of money to start a rebuild. The Cubs going the same way. You're right. A lot more. In fact, this offseason's been funny in that a lot of teams have actually gone the other way and sort of offloaded the money with COVID times, and have sort of got worse, let alone get better. Nick, the NL Central.
Well, you mentioned the Reds there, so I just wanted to say Tramps. Our guy, shout out to our guy. The Cubs, right? They're the interesting one to me because there's been a lot of talk about them, And a lot of talk about offloading players, and they got rid of Darvish and lost Lester. But if you look at it, right, Brian is still there, right? Contreras is still there for now.
Yeah, but Brian doesn't want to. I don't think Brian. He doesn't want to be there. Like, I don't think you're going to get the best out of Brian. I don't know.
They're all still there. They're all still very, very good players. And until they're not there, I don't think we can count the Cubs out from doing something in that division. Admittedly, the Cardinals are probably head and shoulders above anyone else. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking positively for Mike. And
Mike's only comment has been so far, the Cardinals' pen will let them down. Probably the Cardinals' only really weakness at the moment is the pen. We've got Pete Pratt, who's Braves awesome, Mets or Mets, Nats still hungover. Philly spent all the dough for the same team. That was crap. Marlins to be confirmed. Yeah. Any Cubs fans? I'm pretty sure Mike's writing something, so we'll get back to him when he does put something in. But here he is. Offense great, pitching very average. It's pretty much Nick how you summarized it. But yeah, Cubs will still be dangerous offensively. But I think as the season tails on, I don't know. Once they fade further and further away from the playoff picture, I don't think they're going to be a big force. And then the NL West, the reigning champions, the Dodgers, with 105 wins. Padres 95, and then D-backs 77, Giants 76, and the poor Rockies with poor Rockies fans 66. Jack, I can't argue against that one. It's going to be Angels. I think the Padres maybe a little bit closer than that, or do you think they're still a couple of years or a year away yet?
Yeah, I think 95 wins is probably their sort of maximum. I think they'll win. It's all about the Dodgers, isn't it? Let's be honest. They've basically just come out and just said, right, we've won the World Series last year and we're not messing around. We are going to acquire the best free agent pitcher. We're re-sign a top quality third baseman, blow the luxury tax or out of the water. It's all about them. The Padres are a team for the future. I think just the way the Dodgers have spent the cash, they're not going to get anywhere near them, unfortunately, this year.
No, I agree. All the teams trying to avoid the luxury tax, and the Dodgers have just blown through it, making no mistake. They want to go back to back. Nick, they're gonna be a juggernaut, aren't they?
Unfortunately, you had to come to me with that one, didn't you? I was gonna try and do your job for you there, actually, Dave, and just say, what do we actually think of the Dodgers? I think I read something earlier that they're $60 million above the next highest payroll,
a long way, yeah.
Which is ludicrous, right? I mean, in a sport that American sports like to see equality across the board, don't they? They like to see everybody being able to be competitive at some stage over a shortish period of time. Does baseball need to see introductions of a harder cap at that end? Do we need a salary floor? Do we need to bring everything together? I don't know. But just going back to the division, I mean, I'm very excited to see the Padres this year.
Yeah.
That rotation looks fantastic. I mean, we know their young hitters last year kind of broke out. And between that and just actual real competition for the Dodgers in a division which they've had their way with for so long, and obviously they've been trying to win that World Series and finally got over the line, which, to be honest, is quite embarrassing that it's taken them so long. But let's hope they don't do it again.
Oh, can you imagine all that money spent and they trip up and don't win it again? But it's going to be tough to see past them. Charles Baldwin reckons Dodgers 110 wins. They've won 106 without Bauer and Betts in 2019. Padres 100 just by default. He reckons the Giants 84. George, Giants 84. They've made some decent moves, but in that division, that's tough going.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, with the amount of times they're going to play against teams that are far stronger than them, I think it's tough to see them being able to hold it together. Probably psychologically, if you're taking beatings against your rivals in the division, it's tough to come back from that and sort of turn the tables, which they'll have to do. I think it's interesting across the National League. You're looking at the divisions. You've pretty much got like a dominant team in almost every division there as it stands, and I think it will bear out that way this season. I mean, you've got the Dodgers, who are definitely the best team in the National League. You've got the Braves, who are easily the strongest team in the East. You've got the Cardinals, who are definitely the strongest team in the Central. So I think it's about can another team sort of upset the apple cart a little bit and maybe pull off a surprise in the divisional series round of October. I think that's really what a team should be looking at this year outside of them. I mean, can the Dodgers repeat to try and break that streak of no repeat winners since I think it's the Yankees in 2000.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, in 2000 I think was the last one. And that's a long time, that's 21 years since that's happened. As good as the Dodgers are, there's no guarantees they'll be able to do that. Anything can happen in October. And I think that, obviously it was definitely a real season, even despite the fact it was 60 games. It was a real championship that they won. And I think they'll still be eager to try and put any of that kind of talk to bed and say, right, we'll do it after 162 as well. I think Nick's point about a salary cap or a kind of spending cap is an interesting one. I don't really know what I think about that, to be quite honest, because from a non-baseball standpoint, I'm a Chelsea fan, so I feel like I'd be a massive hypocrite to say, oh yeah, I'm all for a salary cap or a spending cap. But it would be interesting to see that, because baseball quite clearly has a very uneven playing field when it comes to off the field, and the Dodgers are very much at the forefront of that in terms of having practically unlimited resources, and it does translate to the ballpark itself, and I think it would be interesting to see that. It's a good point raised.
Yeah, Seb says no salary cap for me. If you're going to spend, you want to win. Don't let cheapskate clubs compete. These owners are billionaires. Stump up and compete. A little discussion going on about Trevor Story and the poor Rockies. Yeah, Story. I don't know. I think the Rockies are going to trade him before the trade deadline. They're nowhere near competing. Like, why would you stay if you're Trevor Story? Like, what is going quick on the Rockies? What is going on there, guys? Like, the poor Rockies fans. You got to feel for him. Nick, Arenado's gone. Story, why would he stay? I could see him asking to be traded before the deadline. They're in for a big old rebuild, aren't they? And it could be a long time.
Yeah, I feel for them. It's painful, isn't it? I mean, Arenado, the best third baseman of all time, according to Rockies UK. But I mean, he's obviously an incredible homegrown talent for them. And I just compare it to it'd be like losing Trout. It'd be like us saying, you know what, Mike, you've signed your mega deal, but actually we don't want to try and compete. We don't want to try and win. We're going to get rid of your contract and actually pay you some money to go and play for someone else. I think that's the real kick in the teeth, isn't it, for them? Not only are they trading him, they're also paying him to play somewhere else. And you said you're right. I mean, you just have to look at Story. There's no way he wants to stay, is it? Why would he? Except I do always add the caveat that money does talk in baseball. And if he's offered a huge mega contract, he probably would sign it. But then again, doesn't look like they're going to do that, does it? Regardless of what they might be saying publicly.
Yeah.
But I feel for them. I feel for anyone that's supporting a team. You have your stars and you sell them off and you're not trying to win. It's tough.
It is. Let's go to social media and see what you guys have been saying. So I've asked you all on Twitter and Facebook to grade your teams off season, and it's had some interesting response. White Sox UK, B+. This is one of his many comments. B+ White Sox UK addressed the starting pitcher and closer issue, but have left a hole in the right field. Eaton is an average solution, a short-term fix. Lloyd White says Rockies U ungraded. Oh man, I feel for you boys. Thomas Lang says the Giants B+. In fact, Giants are a bit bigger on a bit more optimistic on their team than we've been actually by the look of it. Seb says I would give the Twins a solid B. Straight in the infield with Simmons and moving Polanco to second base. Solid starting pitching. Pretty happy with what we have done. Would have been A if we'd signed in a starting pitcher. So Twins are fans seem to be thinking they can take it to the White Sox. They're still in it. Jonathan says the NL East is the hardest division in baseball now. Josh Hader's hair says double glove winner Colton Wong gives us a major step up at second base. This will be the Brewers, of course. So offensively, will be a great table setter from MVP Yelich too. So the Brewers fans are pretty confident. UK Cubs fan Mike Ivory says Cubs C-. Ooh. Kept the big four for now, but almost lost the entire rotation. Don't talk to me about the U trade. And seems to have acquired players of almost the same pedigree, the ones that we released, Pedersen for Schwarber, etc. Lost around 60 million in payroll with no sign of reinvestment. Although there's someone put below him yet. But yeah, where's that reinvestment going to come? Facebook, what have we been saying on Facebook? Quite a bit. Let's go to the comments in here quickly while I load it up because I'm not professional and they need to get it up quick. Charles Bowen says Giants and D-backs have the quality farm systems that will bear fruit in the next 2 to 3 years too. Rock's probably staring at last place for the next 4 to 5 years. Danny says, nice show, Dave. Phillies will finish second this season and second wildcard spot too. You heard it here first. Girardi will put it all together in a full season. 60 games was not nearly enough. Yes, Danny. Preach. See, Danny knows. Danny knows.
Danny's been drinking early.
He does live in the States. So no, he's not been drinking. Straight-headed. He knows. I'm still trying to load the screen up. Talk amongst yourself, guys. This is really professional. Here we go. Facebook. Liam McKenzie, Royals fan. Nice to hear from the teams a little bit more obscure and less talked about. Royals A-. Big score for the Royals off-season. First base was a need for us, and a deal got done with Carlos Santana early on in the off-season. And if he has a bounce back here, we've got a guy who can hit 30 homers and have more BBs, walks and strikeouts. The Benintendi trade was great. We didn't give much for Cali Lee. He's a career 30% strikeout rate. Loki signings with high upsides and good on the salary as well, pretty much. Another bullpen arm like Rosenthal and another bat platoon like Alberto at second would bring this to an A+. They're hoping he can surprise a lot of people this season. The Indians got weaker. The Tigers are still years away. Twins and Sox will be tough to beat, though. All in all, he's happy with the direction the Royals are going. Me and Jack, we were saying that the Royals are... We're a bit high on the Royals, aren't we, in that 72?
Yeah, I like them. I think they've made some sneaky moves, as he was saying. Yes, they'll be one to watch, I think.
This one, the Yankees, B+ from Danny Quinn, clearly operating within the salary cap. Jack, do you wish that the Yankees went outside that salary cap and sort of went toe-to-toe with the Dodgers?
Yeah, it's a sort of a big talking point between Yankees fans because you've got to remember that the CBA is up next year. Mm-hmm. So this salary cap, this 210 mystery number, may not be there next year. We don't know. They may just go, right, we're getting rid of that. So then essentially they're penny pinching for one season and next season it's not going to be there. There's that chance. As a Yankees fan, you've got to say, what George Steinbrenner would have done back in the day, and he would have bought whoever he wanted. He's not there no more. It's not the same. He's not in charge. It's a strange one for Yankees fans on the whole to have to sort of see us penny pinching and trying to stay under a luxury tax. I'd give us a C-, I reckon, that kind of, because we've essentially just got the same team. Yeah. We've got DJ back. We've replaced Tanaka with Kluber. We've taken a chance on Tyone. We've got rid of Ottavino. We've brought in a couple of bits and pieces, cheap players, Jay Bruce on a minor league deal. So it's kind of just the same team essentially, because I think what the Yankees are worried about, they're going to have to pay Judge at some point. They're going to have to pay Torres at some point. They're going to have to pay all these young players they've got coming up or have been in the team. They're going to have to pay them. So they don't want to get stuck with another Stanton and Cole contract. So it's a strange one for Yankees fans. They're not often having to see us trying to penny pinch, but here's what it is. Yeah, C- for me for the Yankees.
Yeah, Jason Moody says C- as well. All filler, no killer. Another interesting point was on Stanton. He's a multi-million-dollar liability. Where do you stand on that one, Jack?
It's one of them. It's sort of hindsight, isn't it? Really, with the Stanton deal at the time, the Yankees had to make the trade. The trade was such an obvious trade. They were basically getting him for nothing, essentially. Now you've added Cole to that, so they've got two big money contracts. He's been injured a lot. When he's on form, he's a top 20 player in the league. He's an MVP. He's just got to stay on the field, same as Judge. The injuries are what killed the Yankees too much. And if he can stay on the field and he can sort of reproduce his MVP season, those doubts will soon go out the window, no doubt.
Lee Proctor says, Braves B-, still need an arm or two for the bullpen. This is the interesting thing. All these teams have sort of, even the top ones like the Braves and the Cards, and even the White Sox and Astros and the Yankees, they've still got their weaknesses, which, if exploited, could really throw some divisions wide open. So it's nothing, except the Dodgers, who look a little bit bulletproof compared to the rest. Even the other top teams have still got those weaknesses, which are going to make it really interesting as the season goes on. Tom Walter says B- for the Dodgers. Would have given a higher grade, but we well overpaid for Bauer. I don't think it's going to make much difference. Dave McLaren says Jay's pretty good, B+. I've seen to talk on Twitter that they're in talks with Walker. That'll be interesting. Tajon Walker, I presume. Matt Pumphrey, Indians. Dolan gets an F and detention for refusing to spend money on the team. But as usual, the front office gets a B+ for some underrated moves with potential to keep us more competitive than it seems. Pete Broadsbank from the Indians UK totally agrees with that. That seems pretty resounding from the Indians fans. Ben Sewell says Phillies A-. Yes, Ben. Nothing major or flashy, but showed intent by re-signing key pieces in JT and Diddy, and picked up a couple of useful utility arms as well. Did mention the bullpen. We could have gone all day with that one. Matt Benson, Cardinals, A-. Arnado, of course, the massive win, and pleased to have brought back Waino and Yadi. We'd have liked another outfielder and starting pitcher, but we got our man and the big bat needed. Any other different teams? Hayden Wilkinson says Giants C. Any Rays fans? Mark Young B- for the Rays. We've had that one from Liam. Charles Baldwin B+. So that's what you've been saying on social media. I can see in the comments on YouTube. Great conversation going on at the moment. White Sox about the White. There's all sorts going on. It's good to see.
Dave, are all Phillies fans like you? I just thought you were overly optimistic / deluded, but it feels like you're all the same.
Mate, nearly 10 years without playoff baseball and
Exactly.
not a winning season. You've got to be positive. It's laugh or cry, Nick. It's laugh or cry. And that October was my month for crying about another complete disaster. So I'm back. Phillies fans are back. We're optimistic. We got to be, mate. We got to be. Let's quickly go on then before we end the show on the new minor league system, which was brought in on Monday. As you can see on your screen, it's going through all the new minor leagues and the new team names as well. Really interesting what they have done. So minor leagues, the names of the leagues and made teams have changed. 120 minor league clubs have agreed to join the new PDL. Rob Manfred says, in modernising our minor league system, we have prioritised the qualities that make the minor league such an integral part of our game. AAA teams are all relocated closer to their major league clubs, on average 200 miles closer. Doesn't affect some, but affects the majority of AAA teams. Salary increase for players for all levels, ranging from 38% to 72%. Facilities and player working conditions will be upgraded and modernised to meet the needs of the pro athletes and staff, and less in-season travel for the players and coaches. Nick, overall, the new minor league plans, what's your feelings on this?
I mean, it all sounds great when you read out the press release, Dave, and I think minor league baseball.
Job, yeah.
I'm not criticising you there. Just saying, minor league baseball has been one of the most I don't know how to describe it, but obviously I think it's been lacking. Obviously, we all love our major league clubs and we see the conditions and we see the big players making the big bucks. But the work that goes in to get to that stage, and like the conditions that minor league players have gone through for years and years and years on minimum salaries, long days on the buses, whatever. I mean, it's such a struggle. So I like to hope, as you said there, that facilities are going to be improved, salaries are going to be increased massively, and the conditions are going to be better. It's a shame that they've had to cut down on the minor league system, and I'm sure that's caused mass redundancies across baseball, which nobody ever likes to see, particularly in a pandemic. But I guess I'll remain cautiously optimistic that these changes will bring some good and improve conditions for players in the minors.
Yeah, agreed. Have the Angels changed their names at all in their minor leagues? What have we got for the Angels?
We got our AA team here. It's the Rocket City Trash Pandas. That name won in a Twitter poll, but we've kept our AAA team in Salt Lake.
Salt Lake Bees.
10-year deal, so not so much changed really. Well, one of our A teams has changed as well, gone up to the Washington area near Seattle.
You've got Inland Empire 66ers.
Yeah, that's remained the same.
And Tri-City Dust Devils.
Yeah.
That's
very nice.
That's some great names. There's some great names. What about Jack? What about the Yankees? Have they? First of all, your feelings on the new minor league system, and have the Yankees got any new minor league names?
Yeah, well, I agree with Nick. That press release sounds very good. It's all about whether any of that will live up to what they've said. Regarding the Yankees, we had a bit of a controversy because we got let go of a couple of our minor league teams, and there was a bit of controversy how they found out about it. They found out apparently, supposedly, they said they found out about it on Twitter, which I struggle to believe that they had no inkling. There was no indication whatsoever. But hey, that is what it is. We've I think it's our AA is now the Somerset Patriots.
Yes,
which has replaced the Trenton Thunder, which I quite like the Trenton Thunder. Our AAA staying the same, which is Rail Riders. I think we got rid of the Staten Island. That's the one that seems to have upset a lot of people because the Staten Island Yankees are New York City. They've got a brilliant little ballpark with a really, really nice skyline of Manhattan and things like that. So they got rid of them. I can't tell you where they've gone to off the top of my head.
You got Scranton, you got Somerset Patriots, Hudson Valley Renegades, and the Tampa Tarpoons.
Yeah, so they're our minor league.
No, not tampons. Yeah, Tarpoons. Sorry.
So they're our spring training base, the Tampa. So it's as Nick says, it's all about whether they live up to those promises they've made about the conditions and about this and the other. So we have to just wait and see, I think, on that front.
There's some great names. You got the Quad City River Bandits. That's the Royals A+ tier, the higher A team. Astros, have they changed anything?
Yeah, we certainly have. We have now got AAA. We now got the Sugarland Skeeters, which is great for people around Houston area. It's not too far away. We've AA still. We've got the Corpus Christi Hooks. At High A, we've got the new team for us, Asheville Tourists, which is an interesting name, which I'm quite interested to see how that gets on. And then we've still got the Fayetteville. I hope I'm saying it right. Fayetteville, the Woodpeckers, which is our low A team, who've got some great cap and jersey designs, which I have wasted money on already. So, I think just echoing what Nick said. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, and it's been a big focus on podcasts I've been on, the contraction of the minor leagues it's regardless of the positives, is still a tragedy within that not just so many people are losing jobs, but so many places losing baseball. And I think that the future of a sport is always at the grassroots level, and I do worry about the long-term impact of that. I think that the future of the sport depends on that minor league setup, and I really truly hope that the new organisation and the new structure and framework works for everyone's benefit. And fingers crossed on that front.
Yeah, agreed. The Phillies have stayed the same. Lee Valley Iron Pigs, Reading Fighting Phils, Jersey Shore Blue Claws as the higher A team, Clearwater Freshers. We've got on the comments, Seb says, love the fact the Twins have St. Paul's across the river as our AAA club. I think it's nice that the AAA clubs are now a lot nearer to their their major league team. Sorry, it's good for fans to get down there as well. Make it more accessible for fans to go to AAA games. Any more about Johnny Waddy says, who knew there was a UK affiliate in Worcester Red Sox? But that is and Charles Bowen pointing out the Phillies have spent we have the fourth biggest payroll. Yeah, I know. Message for Jack to let him know that Newcastle are 1-0 down from Mike Ivory. Guys, of course, George is the Chelsea supporter. Guys, thank you very much for watching and getting involved. It's been great. This will be the first show. We'll get a prediction one up very shortly as well. I think there's a couple of things to iron out, but this is a bit of a trial and error one, so I think it's gone well. Hey, an hour in the books. That's longer than I thought it would be. So thank you for watching, guys. George, where can we find you on social media, mate?
At Astros Fans UK on Twitter, UK Astros Fans on Instagram.
And Jack?
At NY Yankees UK, and I believe it's the same on Instagram. Off the top of my head, can't remember.
Great plug. Nick?
We've done well, by the way, to last an hour before someone forgot to take mute off. So impressive. But you can catch me at LA Angels UK across all your social media platforms, laangelsuk.com for the website.
And of course, me myself at UK Phillies all over social media. Don't forget to follow MLB UK Community on Twitter and on Facebook, and the PTBNL podcast on your podcast providers. Thank you for the well wishes and comments in the comments. Thank you for joining. We'll be along very soon, guys. We're going to make it a regular thing building up to the season, and we're going to be live on the opening Sunday. We're back down to business, reporting on the games, making sure that you guys do not miss any of the action throughout your Sunday night. But from now, from me and from the guys here, thank you for watching.